All right, here we are, Video Games to the Max, episode 296, and we actually have a guest today that thankfully lives in the Pacific area of the country, so he doesn't have to be awake at
Uh,
crazy hours like we do. But Randy Isbelle, good to have you back, sir.
I'm glad to be back. Trying to fight off this cold, but somebody else had a worse situation than me that is here doing the show. So I'm like, I can't be a baby. I got to show up, like I said.
Yeah. So Mark also here with us, of course,
Okay.
as always. So I had I had a car accident since the last time that we did the show. I had told you all last week that we were going to do the show on Wednesday because Randy was going to be on, so it has nothing to do with that or anything. It's just it's one of those things. I was coming back from the fair, which was ending the next day, so we had to go that night, and then kind of sucks that like it's a great memory turned into a really sour one because that like a few hours after we got back, I had to go home. Had Anaya with us, so she had to go to school. Well, she didn't have to go to school. It was a Sunday, but she needed to get up early for church and everything, so we had to go. And it's one of those. It's after 12, so in Miami, almost all the lights turn into flashing reds and flashing yellows, depending on what side of the street you're on. Uh, I did the thing where you stop at the flashing red, started going to turn left, and all of a sudden here comes this car, and I'm like, well, that car is not stopping. And because I had my kid in the car, I'm used to driving myself. I'm not really used to driving with her in the car, so I kind of froze a little bit instead of being like, oh, let me just slam this accelerator, and I got hit on the back end like where your gas tank is. Looked pretty more bad than it actually was. Thankfully, I only have like a neck sprain, and Anaya doesn't really have anything. She's just really scared. I got hit by a cop, so not the greatest thing to happen. But
Did you get 3 stars after that happened?
no, no, I did not get 3 stars or any kind of points or
Oh man,
um,
I thought Grand Theft Auto was realistic, and
yeah, I guess I still may get points on my license if things don't go my way, but that's the closest thing I'm gonna get to any of that. But no, so good thing is we're all here. I don't know what's gonna happen with the car situation or whatever, but we'll get to that when we get there. But let's talk about some more brighter things. This is the day. Of course, if when you're listening to us, it'll be Game Awards morning, Game Awards afternoon. That day, and then of course Halo Infinite came out the afternoon that we are recording this. Mark chooses not to participate in Game Pass, so he has not played it.
Like
But
own
Randy,
stuff.
hey, it's okay. You can still play things on Game Pass and then buy it later. There's nothing wrong with that.
For now.
So Randy and I have played it a little bit. Randy got, I think, one level further than I have. What do you think?
it's Halo. So far,
Right?
I'm really interested because obviously this one was all based off of the open world aspect, and I literally, like I said off air, that I got to the point where the world opens up. You get your achievement for getting there. And I looked at the map and went, I got a show to do. So I haven't gotten to participate in any of the open world stuff, but the gameplay in the first 2 sections of the game were very much Halo, very very pretty. I like that enemies react better. It kind of has the like Uncharted system, and there's a lot of other systems where the newer systems where if you shoot somebody in the leg, they act like it. And so that's my favorite thing to do is shoot somebody in the foot, they fall over, and then I shoot them in the head. Well, I missed 12 times, and then I finally shoot him in the head. That's how my gameplay goes.
Yeah, I found that pretty fun, especially with the brutes that kind of
Mhm.
they're made for shooting them in another area. They bend down, and then it's easier for you to shoot them with the head. Uh, they're kind of they're a new because they're part of the Banished, which are part of Halo Wars 2, actually. But still cool to see them. I'm glad that we didn't just rehash the Covenant or something like that and bringing them in. So, there's that at least.
Are they different?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've seen any of the trailers, they're the big like hulking dudes. But
Okay.
I love the first level. It really feels like going back to like Halo 1 and like that escape of the autumn kind of thing. It gave me that almost really similar vibe, which is great when you're trying to do the thing where you're really trying to get people to be enamored with Halo again. Obviously, it's different. We haven't been able to play through the open world part, which that's what makes this game very different from what we've seen before. And getting to do actual like side quests in Halo, which we don't really do. You normally just have your main linear path that you follow, and that's all you do. So that's going to be interesting when we get to that next week. I'll have to just get Randy's just written thoughts or whatever on that.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
But I mean, anything about the game in general, like I guess what you've seen that you liked? Or...
It's like I said, it's just that it's old Halo. It's totally fine. I'm starting to try to figure out how to use a grappling hook a little bit better.
Yeah, I love the grappling hook.
It has some fun moments. Not super spoilery, but the end of the second one's actually a legit boss fight where he has like the health bar that pops up over his head. So I'm liking some of the things that they're doing, but like you said, neither of us have really hit the meat of this game just yet. But so far, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I love that first like section in that level where the dude comes running at you, and I just got to do that just like the trailer, just go wham with the elbow, and it was like just like, all right, this is great. Let's keep doing this. The grappling hook's great because I love the fact that you can actually use it to go right at an enemy and use them to. I love doing it with the shield dudes. They have a name and I can't remember at the moment. They have like those plasma shields that they use in front of them, and I love it to like grab them right at the right moment to push their shield down, and then you just get to go smack right in their face. It's really fun. I don't know. It looks like a revolver. It's a whatchamacallit. It's one of the alien the banished weapons. I forgot what it's called. But I really love that weapon. I can
picture it. The big bullets that you can see in the gun. I just can't think what it's called.
Yeah,
the Mauler or something.
Yeah, the Mauler. That's what it is. Something like that. But it's a really great weapon. I love the fact that they added that in there. Way better than like the old plasma pistol or.
I chuck the plasma pistol every time I see it. I'll never figure you out.
Exactly. Oh, but I mean, yeah, we'll have a lot more to talk about next week as far as the Halo's campaign. But it has been a fun ride, at least it feels like the first two levels were set up to be kind of more like the old Halo, and then when you start opening up. Bloomberg had a really cool article by Jason Schreier about why Halo Infinite was delayed, and they talk about how it was supposed to be even more open than it actually winds up being. So there's parts of it that you kind of feel like, well, I should be able to explore that, but I can't. So we'll get to that.
It gives them a chance to give them expansions later on.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because it is kind of a live service game, sort of. At least with the multiplayer and having battle pass and everything like that. I really haven't delved too much in the multiplayer. I've been kind of waiting for the campaign to come in. So maybe I'll get into that once we get into the campaign. What do you think? I mean, it is these first two levels that you've completed. I haven't completed the second one yet, but apparently those first two levels, because they don't take place in the open world part, can't be repeated yet. So like if you miss any kind of items or collectibles or whatever, you can't go back, which kind of makes sense the way the first one ends. Like you're not really supposed to go back there. You just escape that entire thing that you're on. I don't want to give spoilers to what it is, but like why would you do that? Go back in the same save,
I do kind of wish at that point they just didn't have collectibles. I'm not going to care about collectibles in this game because I'm more of a trophy person than achievement person. But for those that are, I totally understand the frustration that could be there. But it didn't seem like there was many. Like I
Yeah,
know when you got to an area, it pops up how many of each thing of the collectibles there are, and there was only like 3 or 4. And I think I'm sure I missed one. I don't think I got the skull that was there, but hopefully with that aspect, even if you have to start a new game, maybe everything collects together, so you just have to go back and play that opening section. But it could be
yeah.
something they fix later on down the road too.
Well, certainly. So moving along to other games we have been playing, since we're already on that subject here. Randy, what else have you been checking out
I've been
this
going
time?
Game Pass crazy, trying to catch up on stuff to get ready for the Game of the Year discussion, and just trying to make sure I've at least dabbled in a bunch of stuff. There's still like 3 or 4 games I've downloaded that I haven't had a chance to touch yet, but I got through Unpacking, which is just a cute little puzzle game. And there's not much else to say to it. You're just unpacking boxes and
Right,
moving
yeah.
it around, and then you get frustrated because it's like, why the hell do I have kitchen stuff in my bedroom box and I have to move it around? And I like some of the hidden achievements that you can get in there. It's kind of clever as far as having to solve math problems or putting things in the correct space, and a lot of that stuff you just kind of happen to fall into, or once you do see what, like, the little hint they give you is like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. So it's a good
Yeah.
time waster. It's not one that I would recommend. It's definitely not going to be anywhere near my top 10, but it was fine. But the Artful Escape was one that I heard a lot of people raving about, and I'm thinking that could be a Game of the Year contender for a lot of people. Very artsy game, obviously, with the name.
Yeah.
Kind of a walking simulator, but it's 2-dimensional stuff. I didn't like it as much as most people. The music in the game is fantastic. I think the story and the message that they give in the game, which I don't want to spoil, so definitely go check it out if you're into that stuff. I really like too, but the voice acting to me was really, really rough. And I know Mark, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, was talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy cast,
Last week.
and it was last week, and being a little rough. As like, they seem like Oscar-worthy voice actors compared to what we get in Artful Escape at times, which was a little disappointing, a little off-putting. But it was a very beautiful game. The music is great. It's not a very long adventure. They add some little platformy areas just to kind of change things up. And you kind of play a little DDR game with the music as you go through bosses and stuff. But it never, or more Simon Says, I guess, than DDR. But
Yeah, definitely.
uh, again, it might end up near the bottom part of my top 10, but I enjoyed it.
I mean, I really like that game. I still need to go back and finish it before we get to the talking about it, because I really enjoyed a lot of what I played. I liked a lot of the themes that it discusses, because I feel some of those many a time as we go through this, this thing we call life. And I agree with you. It's not the best voice actors or whatever, but I'm really
Yeah.
not
Well,
coming to that for that.
like
Yeah.
looking at the cast, it actually does have good actors. That's the
I
funny
don't know.
thing.
It just seemed kind of off to me. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was partially because I was in a weird mood when I got to the part where you could create your alter ego name. And luckily they don't want to try to say it anyways, but I had just watched the AEW promo between Punk and MGF, and Punk calling him a needle dick. So I was I was the petite needle dick in that game, so I just
Oh my
laughed every time
God.
they brought me up. Like, all right, that works. But
Well, especially during one section where he says your name like a bunch of times, so
right.
it's like, great. But anything? How are you liking Guardians opposed to the way Mark was?
I'm almost the opposite of Mark, where I'm really liking the story. The voice acting, again, I kind of agree with him there. It's not fantastic, but it hasn't really bothered me. The banter is really, really funny, as long as you understand that they're just trying to poke fun at you half the time. I know Mark had says, like, why are they always making fun or getting on me about going the wrong way? I find it funny every time, because I'm
Yeah,
just gonna search just to see what they say. There's a ton of like just extra dialogue. There's been a couple times where it starts repeating on me during some of the longer fights, where it's like, okay, obviously this fight's taken longer than they expected, so now they're re-looping things. I'm getting more into the combat. I'm like chapter 8 or 9 right now, with the team aspect and calling in their help. I just, for the first few chapters, I was just mashing it the moment it was available just to go there. But now I'm starting to understand combos a little bit more, and if I can tie them all up with Groot and then use rockets, bomb deal, it does a bunch of damage, and especially if I can freeze them first. So
You get like multipliers, like the more you do them, which is helpful.
Yeah. So
the game doesn't explain it all.
Right. So I'm getting more into that, which is making me like the system a lot more. But yeah, I'm excited to finish it. I would have played a lot more of that today if Halo didn't come out, and I knew I was coming on here, so I wanted to at least be able to play some of it. But it's, I guess, what am I, probably halfway through this thing? It's probably a contender for top 5 for me right now. It's difficult this year. Like, it's definitely not a down year for me as far as games go, but there's not that absolute standout or 2 or 3 absolute standouts. Like, there's so many games, and I know that's going to be a topic that we bring up, that there's so many games that could have been in that Game of the Year 6 that the Game Awards have, and I wouldn't be upset about it. And I wasn't upset about any of the 6 that they had. It's just everything's so even keel, kind of. So nothing truly stands out. But there's a lot of very, very good.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that it's like, this really could be Game of the Year. This could be really, Game of the Year. It's not, oh my God, this is the greatest thing. Everybody needs to go play this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not God of War or, what it's Breath of the Wild or something like that. Or, it's just like, these are all really great to really good games.
Yeah.
And depending on your taste, that is, I'm right there with you, Randy, as far as, in my top 5. I really, really have enjoyed it. And I'm glad to hear, after like Mark just had such opposite opinions of me last week of I don't feel like I'm the only one. Oh, okay. Here we go. But
so I finished it like last week, and then today I sold it.
Damn.
That game has a weird difficulty problem. Or like not difficulty, but progression problem, where like 3/4 of the way through the game, I was done. Like, as far as like leveling up or unlocking crap.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like,
well, I don't think it's meant for you to. It's just really meant for. Okay, you're done with that part. Just focus on like improving them as a team, like Randy says, of figuring out how their moves work.
I mean, I kind of already got that. Like the
right.
Or what was it? The like most of the upgrades you get for Quill himself are like not good or like just not meaningful.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I like that the sparkle thing that he does, where he like shoots 3 different look like snow objects at people.
Well, I meant like not the team abilities, but like the actual like upgrades that you get with like materials.
Gotcha. Oh yeah,
like that's all like garbage, or like there's like 1 or 2 that are useful, but that's about it. So like,
I agree. I didn't really think I used a lot of those.
Most of the game I'm hunting for that crap, and then I got it all unlocked by like chapter 14, and I'm like, all right, I guess that's kind of pointless.
In a way, I'm okay with that, just because it keeps, you don't really have to grind to power up. I just think they want you to understand the story. It's just not one of those kind of games where go collect everything. But Mark, I'm the same way. I guarantee you I'm going to max out, because I'm looking every corner. And of course, one of the first abilities I got was that one where it kind of shows off the deal.
That was the first one I got.
I'm very, very happy that it pops up in the top right corner if something is close first, so I don't have to stay in that view the whole time like I used to with like the Batman Arkham games, trying to find all the Riddler stuff. At least it'll pop up, hey, there's something here, and then I can check out.
I think there's like one time, because you go back to nowhere at a certain point, and it's all like mind controlled essentially, or screwed up. And there's like one point where like I could see where there was like resources underneath this like floor, but
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like in the hangar, right?
No, this was like later on, a little further. But it was like, it was back. It was like in the section before, but I couldn't backtrack to like where the ramp was, and it's like,
gotcha.
I have rocket boots. Why can't I just fly down there? You know, and like you can't because like when you go down there, you just instantly die. And it's like, huh? I mean, the last battle, like combat actually was a kind of a plus for me. Like I actually got into it like later on.
Yeah, I'm definitely liking it.
Especially like when you have like, oh, this guy you need to shoot him with the shock pulse, and or this guy you need to like flame, get the flame ability on him. So all right, I get this.
Yeah.
And I like Mantis a lot, even though like she's stolen from the Men in Black 3 character.
Mantis is all over. I mean, I've only met her the one time so far. She was all over the place in that conversation.
She gets better.
Oh, I bet. But it was funny. It was just because obviously I'm used to the Marvel movie version of Mantis. And it's like that is the opposite of what she is in the movie, which is totally fine. I have no problem with it. It was just not the character I was expecting at all.
But
no, yeah, she. I mean, I didn't have a character that I did totally disliked. I liked all of them by the end, and I think they really did a great job of like really showing them becoming a team and becoming the Guardians, and they definitely do have a setup for if they want to do a second one. I think they could do it. So
I'm kind of curious how well this game has been doing because it's already like massively discounted.
I mean, we saw it right on the. It's what 5th came out for the MPD last month in its debut month, so we'll see if the sales help any to keep it in that like top 10 or whatever. I mean, but that's like just some companies, like Square Enix, Ubisoft, even Sony, like they discount their games pretty quick. That's just how they've always done it. So I don't necessarily think it has to do with the games not been received well. I think it's more about, I mean, it got a lot of awards for the Game Awards, so I think there was at least plenty of people that did enjoy it for what it is. I just think we still have a lot of people that maybe haven't played it yet, or they waited till Black Friday to get it on that sale or whatever. And that's the thing, like how many of these games that I buy on the sale and now I've played them because of that, because you're waiting for those things to happen, and they know that. So plus on that one, anything else on your end, Randy?
The only thing else that I've touched, and like I said, there's a few games. Deathloop is downloaded, ready to go. Yeah. So I want to definitely try that before we have that Game of the Year show. But I'm about 2/3 of the way through Kenna. I have no idea if I'm going to beat this before our Game of the Year show because it is hard. It kicks for as adorable and cute that game is. Some of the combat, I still cannot time the parry system at all. So I roll around like a idiot during any of these big boss fights, and they're all built for parry, and for whatever reason, I just can't fit. I'm too old and dumb to figure out the timing on it. But it's fantastic. The story's pretty cool as far as the spirits that you help. So far out of the 2 sections that I've played, it was basically paint by numbers. Like you do the exact same things in the second section as you do the first. Go find the 3 collectibles, fight the boss, move on with your life. But the world is just so beautiful, and you want to explore. And there's so much that I have not unlocked yet. But yeah, another game that is going to battle for my top 5 for sure. Which there's a lot of them for it, and I'm so glad that it's kind of met my expectations, but it wasn't, especially when it wasn't the kind of game that I was expecting when we first saw the trailers. But it's a very, very beautiful game and very, very well done.
Yeah, I've only gotten to. I'm way really early. It's only something that I had it when it first came out, and then I kind of dropped it for other stuff, and I was like, you know what? Maybe let's give it a shot. And I'm still really early. I'm like, I beat that first area, and when you get the first mask, because where I'm at, so it's still really, really early. You get to the little village, but man, I agree with you on how pretty it is, and I love just like the fact that I let it sit for a little bit because I had to go do something, and I come back and she's playing with the rots, and they're just talking to each other.
The rots are so great.
Yeah,
give them all little different hats and.
I love that too, that you can go in and get the hats, and and you find them, and then you can go buy them for each single different one if you want. Like you basically personalizing all the rots, and that's cute too. I agree with you on the parry thing. I've had a little bit. I kind of seem like I feel like I got it a little bit, but then, you think you got it, and then that one where you don't you don't get it right there. So
and then like 2/3 of your life's gone, and you're just crap.
Yep. So, but I'm excited to keep going. But now with Halo being out, it's like having to go between both of them at the same time. But I'll continue to trek on. Is that it for you?
That's what I've
Manny?
been playing lately for sure. Yeah, that's it for me.
Mark, anything?
I finally got into Demon Souls a little.
On the Demon Souls, okay.
Yeah, the PS5 one.
Yeah,
it's all right.
What?
I don't like how you have to cheese bosses in that game, or get this boss stuck on this piece of level geometry and then you can kill him. It's like that's not fun or like satisfying, really.
What does Yen say about your cheesing bosses?
No, he says like that's the way you're supposed to do it. It's like that's okay, but that's kind of you're exactly stating my point. Like that's not fun, or to me.
Right.
Like I make this like Tower Knight guy who's like, your guy's like 6 feet tall, and this guy's like 50 feet tall, and it's like, oh yeah, just get behind the stairs because his he won't go to you, and his like projectile weapon like can't hit you. So then he just like shoot magic. I'm playing a magic character, and he's shooting magic from like behind the stair like railing, and it's like that. How is that fun? Or like, wouldn't a boss in this situation just like come back to you and like kill you anyway? Like, this guy could like not get to where I was, but it's not because like he was like stuck. It's just because the AI sucked, and I don't like dying in that game at all. But the other thing I'm playing is Assassin's Creed Valhalla again.
All right. Are you like enjoying the new DLC or?
Yeah, I bought the season pass over Black Friday. Games like that, or games where you haven't played them for like 6 months, when you load them back up, it should say like, "Hey, you haven't played this in a while. Do you need a quick tutorial on how to play again?"
Right?
I like that idea.
Like I looked up like the basic control options and like the menu, and then I'm like, okay, I kind of got this, and it came back to me pretty quickly. But I'm like, I don't know what any of these abilities I have mapped are, or like what I'm doing in this game. Because like I don't know about you guys, but like if you don't play a game after a certain time, even if you like liked it or loved it, no clue.
Right.
Like we all like Final Fantasy VII Remake, but if we had to play it right now, it's a good luck.
I had that problem. I'll talk about it. Yeah, it took me a little bit to figure it out again. I was like, oh, whoops. Yeah.
Or it's like, hey, play this hard boss. Like, and you played the game in 6 months. It's like, all right, I'll give this a shot, I guess.
So I'm just hoping to do the exact opposite and put Kenna away for like a month or two and come back, and maybe the parrying system will work for me this time. Maybe my timing will sync up finally.
It'll be patched in finally.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's not you, Randy. It's a problem with the, they got to.
I know it's me. My gaming skills have went away playing some of these games lately.
Yeah, that's about it for me. Yeah, I'm waiting my N64 flash cart soon.
Well, there you go. You'll soon be enjoying, I guess, the Switch. You can go play Paper Mario like all the other Switch Online expansion folks. Get excited for that. Don't buy that Switch Online expansion. You're telling Nintendo it's okay to give you subpar things. But I did beat Resident Evil Village, so that is done.
Now you can play it again for more fun.
I'm not gonna play it again. I got to. In fact, I'm actually halfway through Resident Evil 7 now because even though I watched like a story thing and all that, so like I know what happened, but I was like, well, now I kind of want to play through and see how that is. Obviously, much different than Villages because it's more about the old style of like running away and not necessarily like going in guns blazing and killing everything.
It kind of becomes gun blazing late in 7 too.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because like I really like the first 3 areas of 8 or Village, and then you get to the factory and it feels like it kind of slows down to a crawl.
I agree.
And the Heisenberg thing is just all right. Well, that was a thing, and then it's just crazy. It was like, okay, we have kind of some normal bosses, and then there's this, and I feel like I'm playing Gundam Resident Evil or something, and and then the Mother Miranda fight was kind of like, all right, well, that was a final boss, cool, and at least you get some good like story stuff there. So there's that at least, which I listened to you guys do your chapter select, and very interesting stuff between both of you of how y'all enjoyed the game and everything.
I loved Resident Evil 8. It's just not a perfect game, but
right.
They mashed up all of the old Resident Evil styles into one, and it kept it fresh. Some things obviously are going to click, some don't. I'm on record on many podcasts saying I don't like Resident Evil 4. And just that style for a Resident Evil game. It's a very, very good game, but just as far as the Resident Evils that I like, I don't like that style. But you're going to get pieces that are like 4. There were that big giant boss fight reminded me of things in 6 where it's just over the top and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Obviously, you get the mansion stuff, which I wish was longer. That's all I want. I just want a side game that is just a full-on mansion kind of game, because those are the Resident Evils that I love. I go back and play Resident Evil 1 Remake all the time. And now that the 2 and 3 have remakes, 3 I didn't like as much, but definitely 2 will get a lot more love. But those are the ones I like. But what I loved about 8 is you just got a little piece of everything, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I did appreciate that. They don't overstay their welcome either. They kind of get through it, other than the factory. But like, I was kind of fine with the section with the baby where it's just like 2 or 3 times you got to hide and that's it, and it's not like, I got to do this 10 times, whatever. That's
Resident Evil 6.
I did appreciate. I mean, I kind of felt the same way as most people do. Like, I felt like Lady Dimitrescu really needed to be longer. Like, that was, you don't get to see enough of her,
not hyped as hard.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to like spoil the other battles you get, so I was like, "Well, there's a big boob lady. Everyone will like her."
I don't think they hyped her. I think the internet hyped her. That was
that's also true.
Yeah, the internet hyped her a lot because of the way she looks and everything else. So, that's the deal on that end. But I really do think, like you said, I don't know where it's gonna land on my top 10. I think right now it's like in that bottom section. But I really did. And Jordan, this is like somebody that's not a huge Resident Evil fan, right. So it's like, well, and I'm enjoying a lot of 7 too. So
my top 10 is going to be impossible.
Yeah,
once I get some of these other games knocked off my list, I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be not an easy one, for sure. I did go back, and something that I know you finished really fast, Randy. You wound up doing the review for us and everything, but this was another game that I was like really hyped to play, and then I just put it down for, I can't remember what it was that I like played instead of it. I know there was something else that came out at the same time as that Yuffie DLC that I can't think of right this minute, and then like all of a sudden I just was like, know what? Yeah, the intermission thing. And I was just like, you know what? I know it's short, like from whatever I remember Randy telling me. So why not? I know I could probably finish this since I had some, extra days off due to the accident, unfortunately. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then I realized really quickly how much, if there was a game that needs to tell you, hey, you haven't played Final Fantasy Remake in a while, so you want to do a tutorial? Right. Like, I was like, man, I don't remember being this bad at the combat. at first, and
Well,
then it just took me a while.
And the combat in Intermission is completely different. Not completely, but it has a lot of different elements that the original remake didn't have. And it actually has me
Yeah.
really excited what they're going to do with like the team combos. And I'm trying to remember what else was it. It was mostly team combos that were really surprising to me and how well they worked. And
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, obviously it's usually just you and one other person, but I thought it flowed better than what it did in remake. So I
Yeah, I want to
like that
see how
we're
they're gonna integrate
build
her with
from
the
it.
other cast.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, because they had a guy that's like built kind of to be her second, you know. So how is she gonna combine when you include her into the main cast? Are they gonna still have her same setup where you find her in Wutai? Are they gonna do it differently?
I didn't find her in Wutai.
Yeah, you find her in a bush.
Well, yeah, in the
Yeah.
well, I know in the bush. But are
She
you gonna
kept
find
jacking
her
me
in the
forest?
in the forest, or are you gonna find her just like on the road to Calm or something, or
I don't know.
whatever? You know.
All I know is no spoilers, but Intermission is worth it just for the final cutscene.
Yes, I agree.
Like that
with
was
that.
like trailer worthy hype. What they do at the
Yeah.
end of this little DLC section, which, by the way, obviously, like not this whole section is not very big. I like that they named it differently, so I can cheese it into our top 25. But
Yeah.
just for the fact that I hated Yuffie in the original Final Fantasy VII, and they made me absolutely love her in this, it got bonus points.
Oh
for
yeah,
me.
she's so adorable in this game, and like she's so silly that like you're like you can't help but laugh. And then I thought they really did a great job with you know, Sunnen as well. Of like they do a decent job of making you care about him with his little bit of story that you get, and you know what ends up happening with him in the whole story. I love the synergy thing is probably like what you said, Randy, is going to be the thing that sticks out the most. But then also like just the way they cemented the fact that this is going to be an actual entire Final Fantasy VII compilation thing. You need to go back and play Dirge of Cerberus even apparently.
Right.
So you know that's a fun thing too. Like you know, Nomura did a good job with that and everything else, and it's something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about as far as when you think about this year and all the stuff that came out.
Well, it came out like the same day as Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, that's what it.
So
well,
it
that
kinda
was
got
what it
lost.
for you,
Yeah.
but definitely. Well, plus, I mean, it is still kind of like a side story of
Yeah.
a remake, you know. So that's sort of the thing too. Is I think a lot of people still think of it as like, well, do I want to go back and play remake? Do I want to go back and play this thing? And like you said, they could really just go to a YouTube at any point and watch those
Oh yeah.
few scenes, and you kind of get what you came for that, you know. I think everything else I kind of already talked about as far as what
That's
we've
Persona
been.
5 Strikers.
You know what? Honestly, I think Persona 5 Strikers is going to be one of those that like that's not something I'm going to rush and play for end of the year. I don't know if it's because I've kind of like played Musu games and this one kind of doesn't feel, you know, a ton different, other than the fact that, you know, you got the a lot of the Persona stuff.
It has it has characters and a story, so it's automatically different.
Well, I mean, I like seeing the characters again. It was fun to like see all the characters again and I kind of play as them and stuff, but it was just like, I don't know. Right now it's kind of like it's the same thing with Deathloop for me. It's like I guess I gotta really give it a shot and sit down and just dedicate some time and see if I can it clicks with me, because right now it's just like not clicking with me. It's like I'll play it and I'll bounce off it really fast.
I like that you're playing a Final Fantasy VII DLC, but not Deathloop or Strikers.
Well, that is
or Resident Evil 7.
That's the problem. It's like it's comfort food, right? You go back to that thing that you're, you know, you're really used to playing, or something you know that will click with you immediately. You know, I knew I wanted to beat that game when it came out. I just didn't, you know, actually do it right then, because I don't remember exactly what I was playing at the time. So yeah, but still, I agree with you. Maybe who knows? Maybe by the time we get to that, I'll have played it more. But just right now, it's just not doing much for me at the moment. But all right, let's get into actually talking about things that have been happening as far as the news and everything, which there isn't like a ton. And obviously, people are watching this or hearing this. If you're hearing it on the day of the actual, Game Awards, there'll have been 50 freaking reveals at that thing, apparently, according to Jeff Keighley. So who knows if we're even caring about the awards or we're caring more about the reveals. So a lot of this stuff that we're going to talk about maybe isn't that, super interesting by then, but let's talk about it anyway. So Randy, you and I have talked about, what if Sony did a Game Pass type thing, and what would you want in it? Would you just want it to be PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now together? Does it need to include other things that you have in Game Pass? So Bloomberg came out with an article that basically states that Sony does have some sort of Game Pass rival in the works. It's called codename Spartacus right now. It is kind of meshing PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Now together. There's going to be 3 tiers. One of them includes PlayStation Plus as it is. One of them includes basically sort of PlayStation Plus as it is, but then also I guess you have access to some PS4 and PS5 games. We don't know what that would necessarily be at the moment. And then the tier 3 would include all of the stuff that you see on PlayStation Now, the classic library that goes from PS1 to PSP. So what did, like, when you're seeing this, Randy, as a more of a Sony gamer, and I guess Mark as well, you don't really do a whole lot with Xbox either, Mark. I know you're a different thing because you don't care about this kind of like rental service type deal, Mark. But Randy, I mean, how do you feel as like saying, okay, I know what Game Pass is. I enjoy Game Pass. What if PlayStation had something like that?
I'm very curious to see what they do because as you said, we talked about it. Just combine Plus and Now. Okay? Get the Now out there, and whether you make it a second tier or not, I'm paying $120 a year for both of those. It's not a terrible cost as far as how many games you get. I've always said that PlayStation Now gets a bad rap just because of how great Game Pass is. By no means will I ever say PlayStation Now is even anywhere near the same tier as Game Pass. So I think what Sony has to sell it on, as far as whatever that third tier would be, if all of these information is right, is really nail home those really old games, the old PS1 games, especially throw them on there, put trophy support, put save states or whatever, kind of do what Nintendo's doing, but add them at a far greater rate than what Nintendo does with their old libraries. And that's where Sony has Microsoft stumped, is because obviously their history is a lot longer in video games, and they can really nail home how many of amazing games have been going on since the mid 90s. And I think that's where it should focus on. Honestly, tier 1 be PlayStation Plus. Tier 2 is add what they basically did with Now, because there's not a ton of classic games on Now. Like, I don't even know if there's anything past the PS2, and there's very few from the PS2 era. It's more 3 and 4, and they might have gotten a couple of 5s in there now, but like the really old classic ones aren't there. So just basically move Now as a second tier, and then go old school classic stuff with the third one. And I would love it.
Mark, what do you think?
I think for this to actually work, you need to be able to download these games, at least for the old stuff.
Yeah, no streaming anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw, but MVG, Modern Vintage Gamer, put up a video about why there weren't more PS2 games for PS4. And one of the reasons was trophies. It was like very hard for Sony to add in trophy support for like PS2 crap. Like it took them months for one game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if that's actually a hurdle, I would say screw it. Have one trophy for each game and say when you boot up the game, you get a trophy.
No, that's too many platinums.
Uh,
I'd be booting them up every 2 seconds because I can't help myself.
no, I mean you just got like one trophy period. You get a
No.
platinum for.
But no, I
owning
agree. If that's a big,
NCAA 13 or something, whatever. Yeah.
if that's a big sticking point, then yeah, then don't worry about it. Trophies is just an extra thing. But I just want tier 3 to be all classics: PS1, PS2, and PSP. I guess.
Yeah, that's the one I'm kind of curious about is PSP. Like, why do that?
Well, I mean, you could get some classics. I mean, get some like something like whatchamacallit? I can't think of it right now. Crisis Core, exactly. That they don't want to remaster or whatever. You could get it on there.
I think they would remaster that one. That's the one I could see them actually doing. But I mean, those games are just look. I mean, like Game Boy games on a TV nowadays, they kind of look quaint, and they're primitive because that's what they had. But like PSP games on a TV just look assy.
I mean, PS1 games and N64 games are gonna kind of look assy, period, on a TV.
I mean, sure.
So why not PSP games? I mean,
it's not. I mean, because like the resolution difference is slightly more towards like the PS1 and N64. I mean, I've played PSP games on a TV, and it's like it works, but like Crisis Core doesn't look particularly great on a TV.
I mean, that's the thing though. Is like Sony's not. They're not doing that extra stuff that Xbox does right now with that kind of thing. So like, they're not really necessarily having to put all this extra manpower and hours into. Okay, well, we kind of need to sort of remaster it or do the FPS boost to it or whatever. You're more likely to get these games as they originally were on there. They're just available, right? And they're downloadable, which, right now, technically, they did improve it by making PS4 and PS2 games downloadable, but the PS3 games are stream only still, which is weird. And, you have to fix that because most people don't really have the internet to be able to stream game consistently like that. I mean, I get,
Well, I was going to say the other thing is like, how do these games work? Will it be an emulator, or will they? I mean, moderately rebuild them to like run natively, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be very, very interesting. One of the things that came out of the report that had me curious, and I can't remember what service it was, but the whole extended demos thing.
That was this thing.
My thought process and my prediction on what that even means is I do not think we're going to get day one Sony titles on any of these tiers. They want you to buy their games.
Oh, yeah.
But was it play? You guys will probably remember far better than me. But was it Sony that had the system where you could play a game for an hour? Was that like what PlayStation Now had at one point? You had like an hour clock and you could just try a game out?
It was the PlayStation Share thing, right? Where you could play, your friend could share the game with you and you could play it for like an hour, and then you had to, after the hour, you can no longer play it unless you own the game. Or
I can't remember exactly what it was, but I could see it being like that, where if you're in the third tier, you get an extended demo of Sony first party day one. So
I think the current demo time is like 6 hours.
So there you go. Make it 6 hours. Well, unless the game's shorter than 6 hours, but just as far, and I think the one I'm thinking of, I think it was years ago that it did it. I'll see if I can look it up while you guys are talking, but yeah, just instead of here's the full game, just here's an hour of the new Spider-Man game or the new God of War game. Check it out, and then if you want it, then you have to buy it, but at least you can test it out before you do.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a really good way to get people hooked and at least, buying the new games.
Especially if content transfers over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they would necessarily do that. I mean, we've seen demos that they just release and they don't have it carry over. The thing is, like, for me, I don't really care whether they have the day one or not, because I don't think Sony's going to go to that level. I do think it depends on even Phil Spencer has said he never envisions a day where every single person that owns an Xbox or is part of the ecosystem also has to have Game Pass. That's not what their goal is. He says that is one aspect of what their whole thing is. This is why they try to branch out to like everything is possible, and eventually they're going to get on TVs and where you don't even have to own the console, and then we'll have that conversation. But it's like, I don't know if Sony wants to necessarily go that far. I think Sony is more about, this is just something to say that we have a competitor. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if they're going to go to the aspect of doing what Microsoft does, where they're going to go and pay extra money to have a bunch of games added two times a month. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to do sort of what they do with PlayStation Now. And if they already have so many subscribers to PlayStation Now at the moment, when they combine the two, they're probably already going to feel like, look, we don't even put any marketing behind this thing. Imagine if we put marketing behind this thing and then have PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus together. We're going to get all these subscribers without even really trying. And I think that's what their idea is going to be at the beginning. I think it will require gamers to complain, which, I mean, that's already an expertise thing that they know how to do, or we all know how to do. But I'm just saying, I think it's going to require like gamers to really go out and force Sony's hand, because they're not going to want to do all these things with their whatever they're going to call it, Game Pass
Microsoft didn't originally either.
So with it reportedly launching in the spring, is it feasibly possible it gets revealed at the Game Awards?
I don't think so.
I think it's too early.
No. I think Sony will just do a state of play.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense too. But I mean that would be a good mic drop moment at some point in there. But I mean, not give full details, but it'd be kind of interesting if they went, yeah, it's happening. But yeah, it might be a little early for it.
I mean, I could see them. Maybe they do some like third parties that are already exclusive, and they add them into that as a way to get you to subscribe. Like maybe something like Sifu, right? Could wind up being, oh, if you go subscribe to whatever this is going to be called, you can go play Sifu on it right now, or something like that. And you don't have to necessarily buy the game, but obviously just like Game Pass, they made a deal, and they're getting some compensation for it. I mean, Mark, what do you think? Do you think that there needs to, besides these tiers that we have discussed, to make it maybe not necessarily for you again, because you're not about like renting games or trying out games or whatever. If you were that kind of person, what do you think it needs to have for you in order to entice?
I would say a basic disc emulator where it said you can pop in any PS1, PS2, PS3 game you actually still own and run it. And you have to subscribe to the emulator, monthly.
Be interesting. I don't know how that works, but yeah. Because I have enough games behind me that would be nice to just.
So so do I.
Yeah, that would be a cool deal for the people that already have that,
And you can buy their like updated or like slightly updated versions, whatever paltry limit or paltry amount they're going to do, because it's going to be limited.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a copy of FIFA 2002 and you want to run it, here you go.
I want to get back into Sammy Sosa high heat softball, please.
There you go.
And I can finally finish Gex Enter the Gecko on PS1.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too, right? Is like Randy was saying about their retro stuff, is they just by adding retro stuff on top of whatever is already on now, they get a leg up on Sony that way, because Xbox has already said they're done. They're done with adding stuff to the backwards compatibility thing, because it's too much of a hassle for Microsoft. And yeah, that's the thing, is if let's say you do add a bunch of PS1 stuff and a bunch of PSP stuff that's not on there right now, but you're going to add it as part of this service, I think that adds some more stuff to it. Again, as we've always said, people love to talk about how they want all this retro stuff, but then don't play it.
Right. There's so much even on now that I go, I don't have time.
I
It's a cool
think people
service to
like
have,
having the
but-
option. I mean, that's why like original PS3s go for like a premium still nowadays. You know.
Oh, I agree. It's great to have the option, and it would be nice if you could get a lot of those libraries available to you on that service. I'm just saying, like, this is why you're seeing Microsoft go after like newer games and the indies and things like that, because people tend to like what, they'll say it, they'll play all these retro games, but the majority of what gets played is, oh, this is actually coming out. Oh, it's going to be on this service. Oh, I'll try it out, because you get to be part of the conversation. You get to, everybody can play it and talk about it. And it's not necessarily this thing of like, oh, this game that came out 10 years ago, go play it. That's a different proposition, I think. So it's, again, I think a different, like, we're going to have to see what Sony winds up doing. Do they rely heavily on retro to try to sell it as a service? Or do they have to wind up, because people don't use it, have to wind up doing what Microsoft does and have to pay to get third party or indie new stuff on there to entice people to go for it? Do you think that there ever becomes a part where, do you think there's ever a time where Sony says, okay, it's not worth it, we drop it? Or do they get, it doesn't do well enough to where they get coaxed into maybe doing some of their stuff day one?
I mean, they could do their little shit for day one, but not God of War
Yeah,
2 or,
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank 9 or whatever. Like, be real.
Yeah, they have enough smaller studios that they have control of that they can do that. But
I think if they did this service, like the new robot game, that would be on there.
Astro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that totally. I mean, they gave it away with the PS5, so why not?
But not like Horizon, Zero West or anything like that. Like, no.
Yeah, very true.
Be interesting if you can get a big discount out of it at least.
Yeah, I would hope you get to do that. That's one thing I will say. Even though it's only like 10%, the stuff that Microsoft does with when it does leave the service or whatever, you can get it for a discount. That's great too, because it doesn't entice you to want to buy the game afterwards. So let's move on from this. We could probably keep talking about it for the rest of the show, but we do have a few other things to talk about. So some controversies that have been made big by the internet, obviously, and by Twitter, but are probably really nothing in the end, and will probably not bother anyone that's not paying any attention to that kind of stuff. Two things here. One of them has seemingly been made into this huge issue, which I don't really understand, because Sony has made it known that they were going to do this now, and then people are still complaining about it. Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy get delisted in order for them to release the collection of Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy on PS5. They are offering you the opportunity that if you ever owned Uncharted 4 or Lost Legacy, either one, you don't have to own both, you can actually upgrade to the PS5 version for $10 more. I saw a lot of people complaining about the fact of, well, I own this game from the PlayStation Collection or PlayStation Plus. Why should I not get the $10 version? Why am I being priced out of this? Why do I have to go pay the full $40 or $50 or whatever for this? What do you think about this? Do people have a point here, or are they just wanting to get something for something they shouldn't?
Stop being moochers. Pay $10. Not that big of a deal.
Right.
Well, no. If you don't own it,
I mean, how
right,
how fucking expensive is a copy of Uncharted 4 these days? Like $5? Like a physical copy? Like, it ain't much.
Yeah. No, I agree. I will agree with you.
Also, like, who's buying that game now anyway? Like, aside from when it goes on sale and Lost Legacy, like those games aren't being like on the sales charts. Like no one cares about those games anymore.
I
It's
mean,
not like it's not like the PS5 upgrade's going to be that amazing. So if you've already played them before, even if you got them on the PS Plus deal,
Well, it's like the same thing
it's
about Final
fine.
Fantasy VII Remake when that went on PS Plus. They were like, you can't upgrade to the PS Plus or to the PS5 version, and people got outraged. It's like, well, you didn't buy the game.
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't buy the game. You got it because you have it as part of this service, and you don't own it because if you unsubscribe, then you lose it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you really liked it and you got it on the PS Plus, especially Final Fantasy VII, that was just their way of advertising that it was coming out for PS5, and then go buy it. So if you didn't want to pay the extra 10, you should have bought Final Fantasy VII before they delisted it. And
Uncharted
take
4 is
advantage.
$10 from GameStop, and Lost Legacy's $9. So,
but
go buy.
Huh? I mean, these games also routinely go on sale by Sony for $14 and $20. So I mean, like, you had your opportunity. I don't know how many times to go buy this on a sale.
And even this collection, if you don't want it, oh my god, I did it. I got it on PlayStation Plus, and I don't want to spend $50. Give it a couple months. It'll go down.
Yeah.
And again,
exactly.
if you got on PlayStation Plus and you already played them, I'm a huge Uncharted fan. I don't see any reason that I'm like, oh my god, now I have to play the PS5 version. I mean, it might give me an excuse just to go back and mess around and see how more beautiful it is or whatever, but I've already played both, and there's not a ton of replayability out of Uncharted games. So,
well, especially since they yanked out the multiplayer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's understandable. I just think people sometimes are just they want to argue and complain about things, and it's just like, dude, come on, you know. So I think an even worse one for me is, and I get it why people are upset, because it's an outfit, right? It's just an outfit. Like, why can this not be in the PS4 version of Spider-Man? So there are 2 Spider-Man outfits that are being added as part of the, Spider-Man. What's it? No Way Home. What's the new movie called?
Yeah, No Way Home.
No Way. Okay, and it's being added to only the remastered PS5 version, not the PS4 original game. People are complaining, obviously, that because it's not easy to get a PS5 right now. You can't just walk into a store and get a PS5, and you don't know when that will ever be a case. At least for like probably another year. Do people have a point to be upset here about some outfits, or
absolutely not? It's not extra game content. It just makes your dude look different. And even again, if you've already played the damn game, there's no reason to go back just to get the 2 extra costumes. It doesn't do anything. It's just finally Sony going, okay, PS4 is over here, and we will still support it, and we'll even put God of War on it. We'll put the new Horizon game on it, because I know it's tough to get the PS5. But you got to have some stuff that's PS5 only. You know what? I'm upset that this new Spider-Man game was not on my PS1. Why didn't they put it on there?
I still have a PS1.
I do too. I have multiple. I have the cool little mobile one, but it's just, who cares? It's time to move on as the next generation. Not everything's going to go on last gen, except for Just Dance.
I mean, I really think that if we, Best Dance is it'll keep going. I really think that if we didn't have the pandemic, we would have had Horizon and God of War not be on the PS4. So like, I think people just need to realize that at some point, like you're saying, Randy, people got to move on.
Yeah.
And I get it that it's only costumes. I get it that like they could easily, however you wanted to find that, be able to be put into the PS4 version. But it's like, I mean, why are they going to keep updating that?
That game has enough costumes as it is.
Yes,
it's not.
It has a lot.
It has like 20 at least. I mean, who cares about 2 extra?
Yeah, plus the more that got added with Miles Morales, which you can play on PS4. I mean, like, again, people need to stop making a mountain out of a molehill every time something gets added to the PS5 or the series, well, which that happens less than Microsoft because almost everything happens to come to the Xbox One, one way or another, whether it be to the cloud or whether through the system. But I'm just saying, like, eventually you will not be able to play those systems, regardless of whether you can get a PS5 or not. And I know it's unfair, and I know that it sucks these scalpers go around and ruin it for you and everything else, but it's like, you can't just, Sony doesn't need to be beholden to the fact that a large majority can't get the system still. They need to provide for the people that do have that system so they can keep buying games for it. So, just, I get it. Twitter and everybody loves controversy, but let's do a little bit of less of that and enjoy what we have instead of enjoying what you can't have on an old system. Speaking of a Sony related thing,
Speaking of mountains and molehills,
there is. I just want to get something positive, but we have to talk about the one bad thing. There is another great actor being added to the Last of Us show, Nick Offerman, which I know Mark is a huge fan.
This is the only news.
It's a huge fan of Nick Offerman. How do you feel about?
He's playing the right character.
I agree. A great casting. It's going to be so good. Like, I don't watch a lot of Nick Offerman stuff, but I have seen so many memes of that man.
Yes, yeah. I'm the same way. I feel like I know him by the meme.
And I think it'll fit good. I get more and more excited about this series.
Yeah, I mean, just from the things that I've seen of it, like the stills and everything like that, I'm just like, man, this looks so good. I wanna watch this. They are gonna have a sneak preview trailer at the Game Awards. So
I didn't not hear that. Sweet.
It'll probably be like some fungus crying the wall or something.
Will it be like the E3 one where it's just some dude walking around backstage and everything's blurred out because they can't show that or this or whatever that was? Do you guys remember that?
I do agree. I think I remember that. Yeah. That along with the Sonic 2 trailer is going to be the movie TV show type trailers that we're going to see.
Well, Halo.
Oh yeah, Halo as well.
And the price of some Witcher shit.
I hope not. Witcher's going to be out like a week from then, but
over under 3.5 hours for this thing tomorrow.
I think 4 hours probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
It only has 5 awards.
He says there's like 50 reveals. So put all that in there with the amount of awards they're not going to show and all that stuff. And then the musical act, Sting is supposed to perform the song from the Arcane show for the League of Legends or whatever. So you got that. Plus, I'm sure there's other musical things that are happening.
Yeah, you get that ending one with all the Game of the Year music,
that one I always
so good.
Yes.
We complain about the show being too long, but can we make that like 3 times longer, please?
I agree.
That
with
orchestra stuff of those games are so good.
That's the stuff they need to not. I mean, I get it. He wants to make it huge. He wants to make it like part VMAs and part the Oscars and part whatever. But it's just like, God, some of this stuff you don't need, and it's just so overblown every year. And I feel like we're sitting there watching. It just drags on and on. But yeah, I feel like I've dragged this far enough away from this. We got to talk about it here.
We of course need Andrew WK though performing once again.
Yes.
Well, you can never get not enough of Andrew WK. That man is great for the weird way that he dresses and looks. So unfortunately, there is a negative Sony news here. Sony did have to fire an executive, a senior PlayStation executive.
Kevin Butler?
What's this dude's name? So he's a senior vice president of the PlayStation Network since 2013. George Casiopo?
Yeah, that's Casiopo.
He appeared on People versus Preds, posing as a 15-year-old boy to arrange sex for this show with a minor. You know,
Allegedly.
when allegedly, when someone approaches you to be in a show, do you not like wonder about what you're being cast to do? Do you?
Well, no, it wasn't that. I mean, it was
no.
it was a
Yeah.
hidden camera thing.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's like, oh, I feel bad for this guy.
It's just like the Dateline
Predator.
thing.
yeah,
yeah.
the daily, yeah.
Where one of they just film themselves acting like they're a 15-year-old person and then see who they can catch and then film it, and they just did it with a Sony executive.
I know. It's just like not the greatest movie. Like,
No, I mean I'm glad he got caught.
yeah.
Screw that guy.
It was funny. He was wearing a PS5 shirt.
But you know what? If he
Great eye there.
if he didn't work for Sony, he worked for Activision, he'd still have a job.
And his name is Bobby Kotick.
Well, unless you're part of the QA staff, then you don't have a job apparently. Which that says a lot, there, Randy. That says a lot. He probably would still have a job, but then you have to be.
He'd probably present an award at the Game Awards tomorrow. See, I'm just hitting. I'm hitting all of your news notes over.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, so we can get through it faster. So, you know, we did talk about what's going to be some of the things that are going to be at the Game Awards. One of the things that's not is apparently Jeff Keighley not talking about Activision at it, because guess what? There's an Activision guy on the board, and they're not going to upset him, right? It's like, oh, good Lord.
I don't see why this was a big surprise. It's like, yeah, of course. Like, the Game Awards aren't done by, the people. They're run by the corporations.
Well, no, that doesn't surprise me. They also have a guy from Riot on the board as well, which, let's not forget, Riot doesn't have the greatest history either with work.
Where's the guy from Ubisoft? So
there is also a guy from Ubisoft as well who's, they're running through the mire right now with bad work relations. Just not a good look from Jeff Keighley. Just as he's supposed to be this, representative of video game industry.
We all know
and
Jeff Keighley's muted on sexual abuse allegations, but big on Mountain Dew and Doritos.
Yeah, and anyone else who's willing to pay for his show.
Honestly, I have no problem with Activision being represented on this show. I think that the misstep was bringing it up in the first place, of Jeff going, well, we're not taking a stand. Well, yeah, you are. You're taking a stand that you're not going to boot them out. That's a stand. You took a stand that you weren't going to boycott them or kick them out of your show. So that's the stand that you're on, that, yes, you want to represent other people that work on these games, and that's totally fine. But it just needed to be said.
Well, no, I think that's not what they're complaining. It's not that people aren't necessarily complaining that Activision games are being represented, because there's still people that worked on those games that don't have anything to do with what happened. It's more about not talking about the lawsuit and the labor problems.
Well, he defended Kojima from Konami. He's been 20 minutes talking about that
because he's his friend.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
My issue is you guys kept saying Activision games. What games? They only got one nowadays.
Well, they're one game.
I mean, I'm a hypocrite too. I just bought a Blizzard collection just because it had Rock and Roll Racing in it, and I got all excited. But
yeah,
it was one of the Black Friday deals I got. Yeah, it has 3 different versions on it. I was like,
yeah,
it has other games too, but I don't care about the rest of them. I just want to play Rock and Roll Racing.
Yeah, you mean you don't like Lost Vikings? Or...
I haven't tried it yet.
I'm a big fan of Blackthorn.
Yeah, well, Blackthorn's something. It sucks that this happened, and it just sucks that this is a big moment in games. Like when we're talking about labor negotiation, we're talking about what happens to people that work in games. He is further and further not making this about the people that work in games, and necessarily making it more like a E3 / whatever else you want to put in here. And
that's what it always is.
I know, but it's frustrating.
I mean, why do you think he shows half the actual Game Awards to the pre-show or just the internet itself?
Well,
Like,
I know,
here's like the best sound one. We didn't even show it on the TV screen because who cares? We have a Doom Eternal trailer to show you instead.
I agree with, like, I'm saying, like, I understand him wanting to bring in the hype because that's what makes people talk about the show. But it's just like, this is still about the industry in a way. And this is a moment to talk about the industry and you're having all these big names in the industry come in and be there. Reggie and probably Phil Spencer will be there. And I'm sure somebody from Sony will be representing and all that stuff. And it's like, you're not going to talk about this moment that was huge this year and it's still going on. And like, that doesn't make any sense.
Honestly, even if you just don't even name drop Activision Blizzard and just say there have been a lot of controversies and we stand with the people that work in these companies and get treated unfairly, and we need to make these workplaces safer and better for everyone. Don't even have to say it because there's obviously multiple companies that are having issues,
right?
Not just with the sexual allegations, but work crunch and everything there. And you can just lump that all into one PSA and move on.
Don't worry, guys. G40 will fix everything.
I still need to watch that at some point with all the stuff that G4 has brought back. But nah, I hate it for these QA testers that did lose their jobs. It's
Who
really
moved. That's the funny thing. Like, Activision paid him to move and then fired him. It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, you moved them out of where they live to do
Wisconsin?
this. Yeah, and then you deserve all these walkouts that are now happening, and you deserve all this stuff that's going on with you because you keep making terrible decisions that keeps plaguing this company. And it's crazy that this board still sticks with this terrible CEO of Bobby Kotick. But whatever. This company is you can't even say unbelievable anymore when you talk about Activision. It's like it could all literally happen, and it's getting to the point where you just can't be surprised anymore.
They are the Las Vegas Raiders of the gaming industry.
Oh, poor Las Vegas Raiders. Like the comparison. But maybe something that's not so bad because it's kind of understood. At this point, Titanfall 1 was a game that was all multiplayer. At some point, it's the servers are going to go down. EA's been doing that for a long time with their games. It doesn't surprise me at all. But I don't know anyone with fond memories of Titanfall 1.
That was fine, but I didn't like the I didn't like the multiplayer only.
Yeah, I mean, Titanfall 2 stands out way more because of that story mode that it had and everything else. I mean, they did come out and say, well, Titanfall is still part of our DNA, whatever DNA that is. Now that Vince Zampella has like 50 jobs that he does at EA because they keep firing people and promoting him to something.
They're never going to make Titanfall 3, though.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong. But, right now, that doesn't look likely, right? Just kind of sucks to hear that they're not going to do that right now. But, I mean, they do have other things on their plate that they have to deal with at the moment. I don't know if this is necessarily... I mean, it sucks for Joseph Fares and Hazelight, but they still have copyright law in their favor, but they will not be able to trademark It Takes Two because Take-Two has filed that against them, saying that it's too close to their name. To be fair, they have been doing this to other companies the entire year as well that also have other things to do with Take-Two or close to Take-Two. So it's not like they're just pointing it out to It Takes Two themselves, but it does kind of suck.
They should look up the trademarks for who owns It Takes Two song, get that, and then put it in the game. Problem solved.
That ends it all there. We'll just do it that way. I think one thing that I am very, very excited about is the possibility of the fact that there could be a Chrono Cross remake, and now there are two different collaborations for this. Xbox era co-founder Nick Baker is now claiming that there's a Chrono Cross remaster happening. Gematsu says that it can corroborate those claims. Of course, this is the 99 PlayStation sort of sequel to Chrono Trigger, but also kind of not. And
It
they
has Chrono in the title. Like, how is it
yeah,
not?
but like it's sort of not also because it doesn't really have.
I mean, it's sort of not good. Like,
Hey, I enjoyed that game for what it was.
I mean, it's not bad, but it's
it-
like, okay, between the two, which do more people want
well,
to remake
Chrono
of?
Trigger is obviously one the best game ever made. So of course, I want that game made more than Chrono Cross. But I still think it's cool that you would get a remake. Hopefully, they change some of the gameplay stuff that was.
So
not good.
I'm curious because I saw somebody getting all excited about this possible remake being made. I think Wes was sending me stuff.
Yeah.
What is this complex dream thing?
That
I just saw a trailer of it today, and it has the Chrono Cross C. So
Yep.
I was like, I don't know. What is
it's a
complex
whole. It's very.
dream? It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's a very complicated thing with that game, and it will be.
It's some like mobile JRPG garbage.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
But if this is their supposed like big Christmas game, I don't know about that, but I mean yeah.
Of the PS1, I'm gonna skip Final Fantasy, all of them for the moment. Of the PS1 Square RPGs, like, where does Chrono Cross rate for you guys in terms of
God.
desired remake?
I gotta look up a
Well,
list.
I can think of about 4 other Square RPGs I'd rather see more.
I mean, they've already like released so many of them in non-remake form now that it's like,
I'd rather take a remake of Parasite Eve, Threads of Fate, possibly, Vagrant Story,
right.
not Chrono Cross.
I mean, I really enjoy if they were gonna do Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger, then that's where I would get a lot more excited because I feel like there's something there to have both of them. But
Trigger is different, sure. I mean, everyone wants that pretty much.
Yeah.
But
like it's weird that you're randomly just gonna be like, oh, Chrono Cross, we're gonna remake that. Okay, and then out of nowhere, I guess supposedly that's gonna be a reveal at the Game Awards or whatever. People are hoping that is really what corroborates this whole thing. But we'll see if that actually does happen or not. I'd like to see it happen. It'd be cool to say that it got remade and everything. Just hopefully they do it right. And, then lastly, we have to talk about NFTs here because Ubisoft is now, well, they wanted to introduce something called Ubisoft Quartz, which would be them basically introducing NFTs to start with in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, because I guess they need to add something else to that game to make people want to play it. And then 22,000 people disliked the video on YouTube, and that was shut down.
the only acceptable Ubisoft NFT would be Sam Fisher's like night vision goggles, because that's the only way we're gonna get like anything with Splinter Cell anymore.
Well, technically, they are supposedly working on the new Splinter Cell, and it's open world, so
No.
because they have to make everything open world because they don't know how to make a non-open world game at this point. I mean, I know both of y'all have said that this is NFTs are a scam, and that
What are the point of NFTs? So you own something that everyone can have? I'm so confused by
No,
that.
okay, so like it's something that you can own, and then it can be then passed on to someone else, and it actually be unique. It is not like cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or whatever, which is the same no matter how many times you trade it.
Yeah, but NFTs are followed by one simple thing called the print screen button.
Yeah, well, yes, I agree with you like that. I'm just saying, all I keep seeing is like there's two sides of the divide here with NFTs. Like all these people that hate it, which
the right thinking people
seems to be like a lot of games media keeps going out against NFTs. That's a lot of people that I the circles that I'm in due to what we do here, and then you have game developers and game PR people that are really championing this and saying this is the next
wonder
wave.
why.
It's not developers. It's like finance people.
Yes.
Or, that's the thing.
Well, no, but there are devs and there are PR people that work with these devs that are very...
But do you know why? Because there's going to be an idiot out there that's going to buy anything. So if we can create any kind of BS that someone will buy, oh yeah, NFTs are fantastic because some moron's going to buy it and the money just goes in our pocket.
Oh, for sure. There'll be an NFT of anything and people will just be like, all right, cool, let's do this, and
I'm waiting for the new NX Ubisoft game to be made from NFTs.
I mean, what is it? I think it's China has like NFT games or whatever, and people are actually spending money on those, and it's they're not good, but people are spending money on them, and it's incredible.
It's the same basic argument as like Bitcoin. It's like,
what
would you rather have, actual currency or like fake made up currency?
I mean, people go nuts over the Bitcoin, so well, let's move on. In honor of the Game Awards, since we're not, our Game Awards are happening way later, to give us time to play some of these games or whatnot.
Yeah, I need you to do have our Game Awards in March, please.
I don't know, March.
So I can have all the time.
Oh my god! There'll be two stuff that comes out between January and February.
Right?
It's not like so. Oh well. First of all, like, what do you guys think of right now the Player Choice Award for the Game Awards includes Halo Infinite, which to that point it's winning Halo Infinite, and it technically had not had its campaign come out yet. Like,
and most people that are voting on that only cared about the multiplayer anyway. So
I know, but it's like it's only half a game, and yet people
bug
are
me.
Yeah.
I was more bugged when they had the 10 games and Fortnite was still on there, and it's like this didn't come out this year.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess they kind of, because it's an ongoing game. Whenever they have their own going.
Then they should have a separate category, but it's like by that metric, hell, where's Final Fantasy 14?
Yeah, we should just exactly. Why is Fantasy 14 not?
Or why wasn't like World of Warcraft Game of the Year from 2004 to 2009?
It's
because Twitter wasn't invented for us to be able to do these stupid votes.
Yeah.
So, in honor of that, we're gonna do our not top 10. But not in a negative way. More of like
I was so ready. I had one ready for it.
Our honorable mentions or games that we're still kind of playing and we're not sure if they're going to make the top 10, or games that you want to play but you don't know if you're going to get to do enough with it to make it be in your top 10. So Mark, what are some of yours that you feel like
these
are not going to...
I guess these are all games that actually will make my top 10, but they won't make any of your other guys's. So I said Returnal. I feel really strong about Tales of Arise. That's probably top
Sean
game.
loves that too. So
that's my game of the year right now.
Yeah, that's top 3. But as far as other sites go, it won't even be mentioned.
I would play Tales of Arise for this thing if we did this in April or more. A 40-hour game, people oh man.
No, that's a long.
I understand that my fall semester for school ends this week, and I'm gonna have more time to catch up on games. But I don't know about 40-hour game before we do the Game Awards. But.
No, it's and that is a game that you really do need to experience a lot of the story. That's kind of a lot of what makes that game.
Yeah,
but
I'd say East 9 actually also.
Yeah,
I was surprised by those two quite a bit, and I saw Bang Away, Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Certainly the East 9 for me is when we did our halfway games, it was certainly on there. It's a game that I really really enjoyed, and then when I look at it, it's like, man, that thing was the first thing I played this year. That was a game, that released in the United States here, but technically it came out in Japan 2 years ago.
I mean,
But
I would say that game got supplanted by Tales of Arise,
right.
for me, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game. And if
Oh,
I had to
no.
make a top 10 list, still be on there. It'd be lower, but it'd still be in a top 10.
I don't know they would make my top 10 with all the other great stuff that I've played this year, but man, that's what I'm saying. This is what this is for. East 9 is definitely one of my honorable mentions of a game that totally surprised me, like you, Mark, and I really wound up enjoying it more than I ever thought I was going to. And I definitely, if you see it on a sale, I would definitely go and pick it up because it's well worth playing if you like your action RPGs. Randy, what are some of the ones for you?
Honestly, for the ones that won't make my top 10, all depends on how many of these other games I could get through.
Yeah.
Right now that are barely in my top 10 that I know we're going to knock out because I don't put games on there till I finish them.
Right.
But The Medium, which you can see my review on W2M, I thought it was a good first attempt by Bloober Games as far as doing a Silent Hill-y kind of game, and I do hope that Konami allows them to do a Silent Hill game. I just think it missed the mark a little bit, and it was a little boring, to be honest. But the atmosphere of it was really good, and I want them to get some love because I want to see what they can do on their next one. Another one is a game that Jens and I played on Chapter Select was Maquette. Fantastic puzzle game. Very, very fun. A story that goes along with it is compelling enough to kind of drive you along, and they don't stop your gameplay to tell the story. It just, you were able to go through puzzles while it tells the story of this couple and the way they go through. And then Little Nightmares 2 was a game that I enjoyed. I still think I like the first one better, and it's a style of the game is stuff that I like, but I just think it's going to end up missing my top 10 once I start adding in games like Kenna and Forza and Guardians and Death's Door. I want to play more of Chicory. I want to play more of because Sean, you were giving me you're giving that a lot of praise, so I've played a little bit of it, but yeah, I think those are the three: Little Nightmares, Maquette, and The Medium that right now that are in my top 10 that probably won't get there once I play enough games.
Yeah, another one for me that I think is going to just miss out is Cyber Shadow, a game that I really liked.
That right now, I try to keep an ongoing list, and I even just move things around. Even on it, it's like 5 for me right now, and it's one of those. If I can get to some of these other games, like I have Psychonauts 2 downloaded, I want to play Metroid Dread really bad. I have Sable downloaded on the Xbox. If I can get to these and they top Cyber Shadow, it might be cut to. Oh, but I love that game so much. It's like Kenna. I don't know if I'll ever finish it because it's hard as shit, but it's such the old school feel of it is just so good.
Another one for me that I can't believe I'm putting it in this category right now. I don't know. Maybe it does make my top 10 by the time we get to there. But Bravely Default 2. It's a game that I played a lot of. I really enjoyed the whole old school RPG aspect of it. But then it also got to the point where it was just like, oh my God, I don't want to go through this grind right now. And I put it down because I was just like, I want to go play something else. It doesn't make you feel like I have to go and beat the same 5 different types of monsters over and over and over and, do something else. So I really, really did enjoy the heck out of what I played in that game. But again, it's the whole thing of, sometimes you can get a little bit too old school when it comes to things like that. So another one that's really going to depend on how much more I can play with Anaya is It Takes Two. For me, because I played with her and we had so much fun, and then I wound up having to play so many other things that she comes in and asks me now. She's like, "What are you playing, Daddy? What are you playing?" It's like, "Oh, so when are we gonna play this game again?" I was like, "We're gonna play, but I gotta play all this other stuff, and I'm sorry." So, and then I'm trying not to do it on a school day because then, she won't do her homework. So. It's only a weekend thing, and I know we still got plenty more to go through. with that. So, what about that new Pokemon Snap, Randy? Like, where
Not
is
even
that?
close. Not even close.
Okay,
I couldn't get into it. Haley liked it a little bit. It's one of those games we played for like 3 days, and it just I don't know if anyone's played it since.
Yeah, I feel like I was hyped for that game. I wound up not
Mhm.
buying it. And I know a lot of people were hyped for that to like come back, and I feel like it would just want to be like a footnote
It really was.
of the year. Just
I mean, I hate to say it, but that was kind of the first one too.
yeah,
I mean, it was a better
Yeah.
game probably, but I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, we want more Pokemon Snap," and we got it, and like no one cared.
Yeah, it's like, oh
Yeah.
wait, this wasn't as fun as I remember.
yeah. It's too much like the other. The old game just has the new Pokemon in it. So, another one for me, the Wild at Heart, which is a game that I played a lot of. It's still on Game Pass, but I just recently, I think, came to Switch and PS4. But it's like a Pikmin sort of game with a like different kind of look of them being like these backyard kids and they're going on this adventure. And I really enjoyed a lot of what I played, but like I didn't go back there like I wanted to. So I feel like it's probably going to wind up missing the list for me with some of the other great indie games that I've been able to really just like sink my teeth into and love this year. But yeah, anything. Another probably big one is a Scarlet Nexus. Probably gonna miss my top 10 too.
Couldn't get into it. I tried. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, that was the end of the problem. He didn't like it either.
I was surprised that Jens did not like it with the.
Well, he didn't like the soundtrack, so that was like issue number one.
Yeah, the soundtrack is great. I will not lie. That is one that sometimes I find myself listening to the soundtrack on its own.
Actually, I got a question as far as like going on the list, and I'm going to ask Mark because I know he's played both of them. So I played Guardians. Well, I guess Guardians and Guardians because Halo 5 Guardians and Guardians of the Galaxy. But what do I play next before we do this so I can make sure it gets in? Do I prioritize Deathloop or do I prioritize Psychonauts 2?
I'd say Deathloop because it's a
Okay.
more creatively playing game.
Okay, then I'll do that.
Like
well,
Psychonauts
but you
2,
like platformers, so Psychonauts
I mean,
2 might be.
Psychonauts 2 is a good one of those, but I actually I don't think it reaches Psychonauts 1 in terms of like quality. Like it's like a half step below that personally.
All right. Okay.
That's another game that I got to think about whether I want to play more of it or not, because it was a game that I really wanted to play, and then I wound up not.
Like Psychonauts 2, I think has like a one really fantastic level, and then the other ones are just kind of there.
Yeah. Another one that I mean to make myself remember to play is Forgotten City. Now that it's
on my
Game
list
Pass.
because of you.
Yeah, I keep telling myself, okay, I'm gonna sit here and take the time to play this because I like story games and I love Mark liked it, and then I don't actually play. So
I mean, the good thing about us getting ready to do our Game Awards is we can all agree that 12 minutes is Game of the Year.
No. Yeah.
So disappointed by that game.
No. I was so disappointed as well. Just like,
I mean, it's funny that neither of you said Metroid Dread.
It's on my list. It's
yeah.
it's the only one out of the games that I have need to play. I have Tales of Rise on there, but there's zero chance I get to it before.
Yeah, that's a long one.
It.
I mean, Metroid's pretty long. I mean, I beat Metroid in like 7 hours.
But at least I bought Deathloop on Black Friday. Psychonauts 2, Sable, and the Forgotten City are all Game Pass. So Metroid Dread's like the other one is like, I hope I'm gonna get to it in time, but that has a paywall right now as far as if I get it or not with Christmas coming up. So that might be one of those games that I play in the spring going, damn, that should have been on there. I've had so many of those. The one year that we were battling between Fire Emblem and Death Stranding, and I think I only had like 5 or 6 games. I played like 3 or 4 of them that spring. I'm going, oh my God, I would have put so many up higher. Like, I don't know if they all would have topped or any of them would have tapped Death Stranding for me because I love that game. But like, I really liked Control and that was way up there on there. It got no love because I'm the only one in our group that likes these kind of games. But the Ukulele, the Forbidden Layer, or whatever, I loved that game, but I didn't play
Yeah.
it in time. So Metroid Dread feels like it's going to be one of those where I play it early on in the next year and then go, oh man, I would have had that in my top 5 or something. But
yeah, I hate that it's one of those like as well. Like we're in the same boat of there's the paywall of like, do I want to spend $60 on another game, and I already know I want to like try out Inscription as well with all the hoopla everybody keeps talking about. And I like card based kind of games, so but then I also worry that I think I posted on Twitter this week of like, I don't know what it is, but I think it might be what people were saying of I look at my computer as a thing that I use for work, especially me, because whenever I have to work from home, like right now, it is really a work thing. And it's also the thing we use to write and edit and whatever. So like anytime somebody says, oh, there's this great game on PC, I'll maybe buy it and then, oh, I stop playing it after a while and play something on a console because I'm so used to that. But right now, Inscription's like a PC only game, so I don't know if I'm gonna wind up like buying it and then going through and actually playing a lot of it. But yeah, I mean, the another one that's like niggling at me is I know how much I really liked Hyper Life Drifter and Solar Ash being out there, and like tempting me of, well, do I want to add this to the list of things to play after I keep seeing Kyle, our friend Kyle, and a few other folks say how great it is. Mark wants that chorus game that just came out as well. So
yeah, there's another game called this came out this year technically, but it's pretty old. Record of Lodos War.
Oh, okay, yeah, Record of Lodos War.
It seems like a good Metroidvania as opposed to Axiom Verge 2, which was not.
And nobody played Hitman 3, unfortunately. So
nope.
I'm sure it's fine. I mean,
yeah.
The last two are good, but just not my genre at all.
Right, yeah, that's the thing is like none of us, even Jens, it's not any of our genre, so unfortunately it does not hit that for us. But man, there's a lot of mentioned games there that definitely, if you can go find them on a sale, which I'm sure there will be a big sale tomorrow. There always is with the Game Awards. So I would, if you don't watch the show or you catch the highlights later, remember that there will be some kind of sale on all the consoles and on PC with Steam as well. So look out for that, and you can maybe catch some games that we mentioned here that you definitely should go check out for your own. If you want to do your own game of the year thing, or just to play some of those great games that came out this year, where we get flooded with games from 2022, which, good Lord, 2022 looks absolutely stacked right now. If even half of the stuff that comes out that's supposed to already come out, oh my God, what are we going to do? That seems like a never ending, that's going to be 2022 with so much stuff coming. But, we will talk about the Game Awards and then whatever else has been happening the next time we have an episode. Not sure. A lot of times we end up doing something for Game Awards. Not sure if we're going to do that this year or not. I can watch it, but I'll be watching it mostly on mute while I work.
To see it.
Yeah. Don't have to listen to all the. I can at least see the games that are being shown in the trailers. I won't be able to hear what they're saying, but there's that at least. But all right, I think we've hit everything here. Hopefully you enjoyed what you heard. If you watched on video, we appreciate that. Thank you for checking us out here on YouTube or on Twitch or Facebook page, whichever. You can go hit that bell and follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube. You get everything that we produce, not just this show, but also all the other shows that we do. My Soccer to the Max show, and then all the W2 Network stuff with Radlich, all the entertainment things, Eric's game show, which is fantastic. Randy appears on that sometimes as well.
I come on to cause havoc.
Yes. And of course, you can go check out Randy's R&R Sports Report. It's still on Tuesdays, right? Or when have you?
It was on tonight. Basketball, high school basketball has blown up our schedule. So
Okay.
it's on. It was on tonight, as far as Wednesday night, and it'll be on Wednesday night again next week because we both have high school games we're calling. But yeah, winter break will be when we can. That's our schedule.
Fair enough. So you can, where can you check that out, Randy?
R&R Sports Report on Facebook and YouTube.
Awesome. So there you go. Of course, always check out thatdaytonet.com and everything else that we do as well. And go listen to this wherever there are podcasts. You can listen to us that way too. Until next time, folks, we will see y'all later.
Later.
Ah.